So let's just continue. Just to recap, we were on the section of repayment. So as I was saying, it's being pre-populated already. But if you want to know how it works, that's a form that I was taking to you about, which is a form that allows you to figure out the repayment. It's a loan amount divided by 1,000 multiplied by the factor. And I also told the factor comes from a table that is also given, right? So you don't need to figure out what the table is. Like this is an example of what the table looks like. As you can see here, that is what they call a factor table. So let's say if you take the loan for, let's say, 15 years or 20 years, and then you the interest rate, for example, it's 10.25%, then you can see that the factor will be either 1090 or 9,85. So 9,82, and that will allow you to figure out, it will allow you to work out how much is your repayment amount. So again, as you can see, that's why I did that calculation already and I was able to fill this. But often in the exam, you'll be given the repayment amount. You don't have to stress about that. So now let's start, because we have been talking, but we haven't really done any real job. So now, what is our opening balance for month number 1, right? In terms of our loan table, the repayment amount is going to be the car price minus, sorry, not the repayment, the opening balance. It's going to be the car price minus the deposit, right? Because remember, you are required to pay deposit. So the opening balance, what you are short of, what you need the bank to help you with, it's going to be, let me type it here, it's going to be the car price, right? Which in this case is 89,000. Let me just type here 89,500 minus 89,500 multiplied by 20%, which represent the deposit here, right? So as you can see here, that is what I'm short of, which is actually 80% of the car price, right? So I can either do this, you see, I'll get the amount 71,600, or I can simply say 89,500 multiplied by 80% of the price. I'll get the same amount, 71,600. So that is the correct price. So you can see that the amount are the same, right? If I go back on the first one, right, which was the first method, I got 71,600, and then if I use the other one, which is 80% of the price, it also gets 71,600. So that's how we get our opening balance. Now let's look at our interest, right? We all know from grade 8, 9 that the interest is calculated on the initial amount, which in this case is our opening balance. So I will say it's equal to the opening balance multiplied by the interest rate. Remember, here we are dealing with the monthly interest rate that we worked out earlier on. That's the amount in decimal, right? But you can also use the one in percentage. It's really up to you. So what I will do, I'll pick this one because this was 11.5% divided by 12. So I'm just going to pick that. It's already monthly. So I'm going to click on that cell and it gives me how much I have to pay on that loan for my first month, right? 686.17, right? So when I have that, the next thing is now to work out the balance with interest. It's going to be my opening balance plus the interest, right? Because remember, you have used your money for, remember that's the option end of the month, you have used your money for almost a month, and they're saying for that usage you bear interest for around 686.17. so therefore by that end of the month, right, you now owe them no longer 71,600 but 72,286, right? So then now this is your balance with interest. Now when you have the balance with interest, the next thing now is to pay your first repayment, right? So, and as you can see here, it's 1,574.67. So that is being paid. So what will be the closing balance at the end of that first month? It will be the balance with interest, which is in this case 72,286.17, right, minus your repayment, and that will give you a closing balance in this case of 70,711.50. Now, as we spoke about earlier on, what you owe to the bank at the end of the month, let's just say 31st of June, it's exactly what you owe them when you start on the 1st of February. That's why automatically I've set my table in such a way that my closing balance automatically become your opening balance. And I have repeated the same scenario, right? So I have also, as you can see here, if you click here, my balance, my interest for month number 2 will be, again, as you can see, C5. C5 stands for that column, opening balance in month number 2, multiplied by I2, which stands for my monthly interest rate, and it gives me that amount. And automatic as well, the balance with interest will be, as you can see here, my opening balance plus my interest in month number 2. And then, and finally, if I want to work out my closing balance, I'm going to repeat exactly what I did on the first month. It's going to be the balance with interest in month number 2 minus my repayment, right? So that's what I do. So let's just now see you on the next clip for us to complete our table. See you now.